Welcome back to Visions of BVA. In this episode, host Steve Baskis sits down with 4 blind veterans from across the country, each a dedicated member of the BVA Ambassador program. These remarkable individuals are not only leaders in their communities, but also champions for their fellow veterans, working to make a lasting impact. Before we begin, if you enjoy this episode, we encourage you to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform, share it with the world on social media, and help spread the word. If you know someone whose story should be told, we'd love to hear from you. Just send us an email at sbaskis@bva.org. Now, without further ado, here's Steve.
Bill, it's great to have you here on the interview. Thanks for coming on. I would like to ask you to introduce yourself, if you could.
My name is Bill Graves. I'm president of the Blind Vet Association for the state of New Jersey. I was in the military way back in the 50s. And I had a good relationship because I worked in intelligence. I carry a crypto clearance. And it was great.
Thank you so much, Bill. John?
Yeah, hi. Hi, Steve. It's John O'Connell here. I'm from New Jersey. I'm a member of the Blinded Veterans Association, where I'm the New Jersey Regional Group Secretary. And also, recently, I was appointed as the District 1 Director of the Blind Veterans Association, which handles a district from Maine to South Carolina, basically the East Coast states, all the way down to South Carolina. I'm a United States Air Force veteran. I was an officer in the United States Air Force with 20 plus years in service. And I did numerous jobs. My primary job is I was a pilot in the Air Force. Thank you.
No, thank you both for your service. What's your working relationship? How is that? How did you guys meet, and what are you guys involved with exactly?
Well, we met after I became president. I did something that hadn't been done. I went to all of the area meeting locations and I met John, and we hit it off and we worked like 2 peas in a pod. I'll say it and he'll think it, or he'll think it and I'll say it. We have a great relationship. And by having a relationship like that, New Jersey, I think, is one of the top BVA regional groups in the nation.
I think, this is John. I'll chime in on that. I agree with it, how we met. I got a little different take on it, though. Bill, I met Bill. Yeah, he did. He got elected. He went to meetings. And then he called me and he said, "Hey, John, I need you to be the secretary for New Jersey Regional Group." And I said, "No." I said, "I don't want to do it." I said, "I hate paperwork, Bill. I'm not doing it." Right. And he was very persistent. We hung up, calls me back, says, "John, you don't understand. I really need you to do this." I said, "No, you don't understand. I'm not doing it." That's how. And then on the third time, I said, "You know what? He's very persistent. I like his attitude. I really didn't know him that well." And I said, I got a great feeling about him that he's going to really help vets. And if I'm going to be part of this organization, I got to be willing to put something back into it. And then that really blossomed into, I became secretary for New Jersey. We started working together, and like Bill said, 2 peas in a pod. We really do think alike. And, interesting thing, we probably come from different backgrounds, but we really think alike.
Well, teamwork and leadership is so important, and it sounds like you guys are working well together. The other question I have for you guys is, there are some initiatives that you guys have pushed or have put together specifically related to the Toms River VA Clinic and maybe a sidewalk project about relating to accessibility. Can you, Bill, elaborate on this?
Well, the sidewalk project is totally John's, because when they started building the hospital, we said, well, we got to be there when they open up to make sure we have rooms for the visor program. John went by and he saw the hospital. He came back. He said, man, the hospital is great. It looks good. But guess what? There's no sidewalks. I said, John, stop lying. There's got to be sidewalks. That's right next to a highway. And we laughed. And from then on, I'll let John answer what he did.
Yeah, so yeah, Bill is funny. He didn't believe me that there were no sidewalks. I couldn't believe it. It was municipal sidewalks, what they had at the Toms River VA clinic, which veterans been waiting for that for years. It's a great clinic. I have nothing but positive things to say. And then you scratch your head and go, how could they not have put sidewalks in? Because all of the initial groundbreaking media coverage, the local politicians, the mayor, the local congressman, they all promoted that there's a bus stop fairly close, very close. And New Jersey Transit services that bus stop, and so does Ocean Ride County Bus Transportation. And it was in all the publications. Veterans will be able to take the bus there. This is positive for blind veterans, positive for any veteran, really, going to the clinic who may not have a car or may choose not to drive there. So, and it really was a win. And unfortunately, there were no sidewalks linking that bus stop or any municipal sidewalks really around the building. And then we just decided, Bill was supportive. We contacted local folks in the county. Everybody agreed with us. We weren't so sure it was going to get done, and then we showed up at the grand opening, and sure enough, they had sidewalks in. So it doesn't sound like a big deal, right? It really doesn't sound like a big deal. They built this building, but it just goes to show you that veterans need to speak up, because it may not be a big deal to probably 85% of the veterans that use that clinic, because primarily they drive there. But it's a huge deal to somebody who can't drive. It actually makes it inaccessible, at that clinic inaccessible, because Bill said it's on a major road, there's no shoulder. And to get from the bus stop to the clinic, it was a grass wooded area. Very sandy. You're not going to use that if you're a blind vet. You just can't, get through that kind of terrain with a white cane. You just can't do it. So it may sound very simple to people, but we view this in New Jersey and the New Jersey Regional Group as a very big win for all veterans, not just blind veterans. And it makes you feel good. And knowing that moving forward, that sidewalk's going to be serving people, not just veterans, because it is a municipal sidewalk. The public can use it. There are other people using that bus stop, and it's going to serve the community for, long after we're gone. And it was a good feeling to get that win. And everybody, no one ever fought with us like, you guys are wrong. We can't do that. They all kind of looked at us in shock, like, how did the blind vets figure this out and no one else saw this?
My final question to you guys is, what does being a BVA ambassador mean to you? And how has it impacted your ability to advocate for peer blind and low vision veterans?
Well, being an ambassador means that I have the ability to speak for others. Unfortunately, a lot of vets and a lot of people, especially when they get a little older, don't want to argue or discuss when something goes wrong for them. And I'm just the opposite. And so is John. And we've had different vets might have an appointment that get messed up, or they make an appointment 9 months down the line when you got a heart problem. And by being an ambassador, we can make phone calls, and we have made phone calls where people have been taken care of right away. We have one vet who was suicidal, living alone, and I was able to get him into a VA sponsored nursing home where he now has company. And his wife called about 3 weeks ago and couldn't stop thanking us. And I told her, no, he's one of us. We take care of our own. And things like that really makes me feel good.
Most definitely. John.
Yeah, being a BVA ambassador, I want to say what does it mean to me? I want to say I was an ambassador before I was an ambassador, right? What Bill's talked about, we're advocating for veterans. I guess what it means to me is I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing, but it lends credibility and knowledge. That was the biggest thing that I enjoyed about the ambassador program. When I went, they did it a little different format. It was a 28-week, I want to say in person. It was via Zoom, but you had to, be up at a specific time every week at a certain time. And I was so impressed with the training. And it gave me what it did for me being an ambassador and getting that certificate. It gave me credibility to speak intelligently about issues I didn't even know about, like how to handle the VA programs they have, because of the caliber of the people that were speaking to us on that ambassador training. And then I was able to share that, and I continue to share that knowledge with our blind veterans in New Jersey, really all veterans now that I'm district director, and just, hey, did you know about this program? Did you know about that? And exactly what Bill said, being able to advocate, because he's right. I think veterans in the end, they just get tired of fighting. And I'm not putting anyone down. I mean, everybody gets tired of fighting, and you just, they wear you down, right? They wear you down, and you got to be able to advocate for yourself. So I enjoy that role as an ambassador. And really, it's a fluid role. I don't say, oh, I'm being an ambassador today. As district director, I'm automatically an ambassador. As secretary of the New Jersey Regional Group, I'm an ambassador doing. So it kind of flows. There's no real distinction. Hey, I'm doing ambassador duties today. To me, it in any of those roles, you're an ambassador. But that title has given me so much more knowledge to be effective advocating for veterans.
Jay, could you just maybe introduce yourself? What's your name? Where are you from? What branch of service did you serve in?
So I'm Dr. J. McLeod here in Fayetteville, North Carolina, the Fort Bragg, now Fort Liberty area. Branch of service was Army, Airborne.
I appreciate it, Jay. Thanks so much for your service. What does it mean to be a BVA ambassador, and how has it impacted your ability to advocate for peer blind and low vision veterans?
So for me, being a BVA ambassador just lends itself as a tool to actually get in the doorway of a lot of veterans' hearts. Right? When they hear the word ambassador, it makes your eyes open up a little bit, no pun intended. Right? But it makes your heart, you just say, okay, well, maybe there's something to that. It's not so much as, hey, look, I'm just Dr. J. McLeod, of the BVA, but it also, the ambassador part makes it seem like an open, warm door to walk through, and somebody that really wants to pay attention. What it means to me to be an ambassador, well, I mean, I'm a chaplain, and it kind of lines up in the same area, right? It opens, again, it allows me to speak and have passion and show passion through words, and also exercise, being there for the visually impaired, low vision, no vision veterans, right?
Most definitely. No, I appreciate that. You're the president of the Carolina Regional Group, correct?
Sure.
Can you tell me about a community initiative that your guys' group puts on?
Sure. So within the Carolina Regional Group, we are very active within our community. We go to all the veteran stand downs and anything veteran populated, wherever you see the VFW and American Legion, we're there also. And then in some cases, we're actually leading the way and inviting them to some of the events that we go to. 2023 was something came in line where our VIST coordinator actually sent us to go check on one of the veterans that was actually in a rehabilitation center to call them. Well, we called them, couldn't get them on the phone, so we showed up. But what we found out is during that event, we actually had 3 of our BVA members that were actually in the same rehabilitation center. So with that being said, the obvious thing to do is to now go on to other rehabilitation centers and find out, hey, look, do we have any visually impaired veterans, within the facilities? And we found that to be true in quite a number. So we now have a committee that's dedicated to going into those facilities and actually, I believe we're down to once a week now. We're up to once a week where we have volunteers from actually our BVA and our BVAA, right? Both come and everything we do, we partner with our BVAA, right? So when we're in a meeting, they're in a meeting. We're in an event, they're at an event. We couldn't do a lot of events without them.
For people listening, what is the BVAA?
It is our Blinded Veterans Auxiliary. So BVA Auxiliary. They are the auxiliary for the Blinded Veterans Association.
Thank you. Another question I had was about your volunteer work with VIST coordinators. And VIST, if I'm not mistaken, is Visual Impairment Services Team Coordinator. And you've worked alongside them, I think, and specifically maybe in Charlotte, Myrtle Beach, Durham, and Fayetteville. So
our relationship with our VIST coordinators throughout the regional group is pretty solid, right? What happens is when our VIST coordinators, on my end, here in the Fayetteville area chapter, as well as Durham and the other VAs, our chapter presidents and ambassadors, we like to have a working relationship with the VIST coordinators, i.e., they have one of their patients, which happens to be low vision, no vision, which usually are part of our BVA, and if they're not, we actually really get them to sign up and become part of our BVA and their family members, part of the BVAA. Well, when they have situations and things that the VA or the VIST coordinator can't necessarily get done, or in our case, because we're able to rapidly get a lot of stuff done, our VIST coordinator, Carrie Callahan, here in the Fayetteville area, she'll send me an email. I have another veteran for you. And, can your VSO, they need help with the VSO. Here's this. Can you, the veteran service officer, can you help them with their benefits? Can you help them with the vehicles? Can you help them with whatever situation they're in crisis with? Which, by the way, we actually have a crisis team of blinded veterans and BVAA members and chaplains here in the Fayetteville area and region, our Carolina regional group, where we respond to different events. And in that, the VIST coordinator worked alongside with us with some of the hospitals that gave us warm handoffs of visually impaired veterans, to where the veterans care could proceed even further than what that they were able to establish inside of the hospitals, right? So we have a food pantry. We have a lot of people that are able to go in and cook and clean or whatever has to happen until such time as their home care might get set up or they might get situated. So we do a lot.
My final question, Jay, is can you maybe talk a little bit about your local Blinded Veterans Association auxiliary?
So going back to that again, our auxiliary members they're excited to do what they do, to work alongside us. I think they outnumber the number of us in the BVA. We have a city councilman. We have doctors and people that are actually, we have our BVAA. We have people that are connected with the state services for the blind, our visual resource centers here in town. Almost anybody that has anything to do with visual impairment here or veterans issues here in town, their directors and leadership and team members have joined up for our auxiliary. And again, our auxiliary, they are the right arm, if you will, or we like to consider ourselves the head and they're the body, right? You know, we turn left and right and the body moves, if that makes sense. When we have events, they go and set up events. They get out and they look for events for us to go to. So where we set up and give out information. They're trained in signing people up for BVA and BVAA. So, I mean, we do a lot. So they do a lot.
Can you tell me your name?
It's Irena, but everybody calls me Irena because they have a hard time pronouncing it.
Where are you from?
I'm originally from Belgium. I was born there. And then my mom decided that she wanted to come to America. So it took her 5 years to, do paperwork. And there was a quota of how many people, would come here. So in 1959, we came to America via Sabina airline and landed in New York.
What does being a BVA ambassador mean to you?
To me, what it means is something that as veterans and also being legally blinded or blind to help other veterans that are not really familiar with the program. And it was just the same in my case. I never realized that I would be eligible, since it's not military connected, that I would be eligible to even get help. And so we somehow met Dr. Young from the BRC. And after my husband passed away, she reached out to me and she says, you're more than welcome to come to the BRC, because I was military and legally blind.
Can you tell me about your work with the American Lake Blind Rehab Center?
I go there, just for me to get instructions, but they know that if they need any kind of help, talking to a new person that will come to the BRC, for me to give them a call, if that's okay with the veteran. So my thing is, whatever I get or learn from the American Lake, I try to give that information to people that I meet.
Can you talk a little bit about your guide dog?
Oh, yes. One thing, too, which I wish I would have known from the BVA or the BRC, is when you get a guide dog, the VIST coordinator or the bros person, Stephanie, helped me with the application and all of the things. So when I got all the okay from the guide dog of the desert to go, I booked the flight and things like that, not realizing that the VA would have paid my airfare, the guide dog school, and back. I did not know that. So that's one thing, too, with the BRC and the people at the BRC. If they decide to go get a guide dog, it's paid by the VA. You just have to apply for it. And also the guide dog, she is an appliance, which all her medicals are paid. So that to me is amazing, because there's no really big expense. But no, when I got her, she was just awesome. We bonded. She was a little sassy, but it's something that I had to be more strict with her, because I'm not the alpha male, but I have to be the alpha. But she has been a very helpful dog. And I am super excited that she'll be seeing the little kid. He's 4 years old, all the little toddlers. And then, too, whenever I go to swim, I take the bus. She's with me right on. And then when I wait for the bus and there's people, asking me, beautiful dog and things like that, I tell her that it was given to me by the military, because I'm visually impaired. And this is how I got my guide dog. But she has been an amazing help. And, without the BRC, without the BVA, I wouldn't have her.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of Visions of BVA. We hope you enjoyed our discussion and found it insightful. If you like what you heard, please consider subscribing to our podcast and leaving a rating or review on your favorite platform. Your feedback helps us reach more listeners and improve our show. Don't forget to follow us on social media for updates and behind-the-scenes content. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We'd love to hear your thoughts and suggestions for future episodes. Stay connected, stay informed, and we'll see you next time on Visions of BVA. This is Steve Baskis, signing off.
You're listening to a BVA production.